House Democrats officially impeached President Trump. My name is Sean Clinton, and this is the Guide to Freedom Show. Alrighty, guys. Yeah, that's probably the shortest intro I ever had in this show. But I hope everyone has had a great week so far. I'm happy it's Saturday now. We have a lot to get today, so let's not waste too much time. But before I actually get started, I do want to remind you that if you're watching this on, say, Facebook or Instagram, I encourage y'all to actually watch the full video, because you're definitely missing a lot towards the end, because it only posts up maybe 15 minutes of the video, and you're missing a good bit of content as well. And for this video, at least, I'm doing a review for the new Star Wars movie and all that good stuff. And also, you can find me in podcast form on SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Play, and Stitcher. And I am trying to get it on iTunes right now, but they're being jerks. But yeah, like I said, we have a lot to get to today, so let's jump right into it. So, in case you're living under a rock, you probably know that President Trump has been impeached, officially the third president in U.S. history that has been impeached. Now, what was he impeached over? Well, pretty much nothing. I mean, the two articles that Democrats filed was, Article 1 was abuse of power, and Article 2 was obstruction of Congress. Both of them have no, legal, no legal background or anything. Abuse of power is not even illegal. I mean, what this whole thing started is with, of course, President Trump made a deal with Ukraine, not a deal, but was holding back Ukraine from aid from Ukraine in order for them to investigate some kind of corruption issues that happened in 2016 and all that. And what Democrats accuse him of is actually using that to go after Joe Biden for the 2020 election. But there's no evidence of that whatsoever. It's more evidence of him doing it for corruption reasons in 2016. Is it bad? Yes. Is it illegal? No. So, yeah, as far as abuse of power, they have nothing on him. Which is why, if they did have something, like they keep saying they did, they would have included it in the charges. But they didn't. So that tells you they even know they don't have anything. Then Article 2 is the obstruction of Congress, which makes absolutely no sense, and is very weak case. I don't think if this is obstruction of Congress even a thing. I mean, probably is, but it includes with obstruction of justice as well. But they have no legal, they have no reason to say that he obstructed Congress. The only case they made was where that he, basically that he said that his people they wanted to talk to, it said they're not going to go into the impeachment hearings and testify. I mean, that's all he said, but that's not obstruction of Congress. That's just Trump saying something. And plus, if Democrats really wanted to get to talk to those folks, they could have easily subpoenaed them. And if if they ignored the subpoena, that's still not illegal at all. It's not obstruction of Congress. So what would happen was the subpoenas would then be appealed to the courts, and the courts found that they have to obey the subpoena, and they still refuse. Then that would be obstruction of Congress and obstruction of justice. But that didn't happen because Democrats never subpoenaed them. So there was really nothing to obstruct. So in other words, the Democrats have nothing here to impeach him with. It was all pretty much partisan reasons. They want him out. They wanted him out from the beginning. So on Wednesday, House Democrats held a vote and officially for both articles people have passed. And here are the results for them. Article 1, abuse of power. Let's see, we have a total of, for Democrats, total number of votes for yes, it was 230, and then no was 197, present was 1, and it got 3 that didn't vote. And for as just split up here is for Democrats it was 229 that voted yes for Article 1. 0 Republicans voted yes for Article 1, and the 1 independent voted yes. And then for no's, 2 Democrats voted yes. Voted no for Article 1. 100, all the Republicans voted no. And then as far as the whole president thing, that was Tulsi Gabbard that voted president to this whole thing. And then there was a few that didn't vote. Then for Article 2, it was pretty much the same thing. It was 229 to 198. Right here. That voted 229 yes, and then 198 no. It was 228 that for Democrats voted yes. 0 Republicans voted yes. And then 1 independent, of course, voted yes. Then for no's, it was 3 Democrats this time. And then 190, all Republicans voted no. And then Tulsi Gabbard once again voted president. So, in other words, it all passed and all that. So, yeah, President Trump is officially impeached, and like all the Democrats are all like super excited. The media is super excited that they finally got him with impeachment and all that. But until they realize that he is still president, because in order for him to actually be removed from office, that it has to be sent to the Senate in order for them to convict him and throw him out of office, which the chances of that happening is 0, but I should get that to a little later. So here is actually some of the Democrats' like responses and what they were saying during the hearings and all that. It's quite hilarious, to be honest. Let's see. Alright, so in the opening for the impeachment vote, here is what Nancy Pelosi had to say. It's so hilarious, and pretty much every Democrat echoed this right here. Let's see. The House acted on a very sad day to protect the Constitution of the United States. She said, it was a press conference, I'm sorry, but yeah. I'm sorry. The House acted on a very sad day to protect the Constitution of the United States. But is it appropriate and urgent, she said. And pretty much every like Democrat echoed this right here. Like here's Representative Ben Ray. No one came to Congress to impeach a president. We came here to solve the mighty issues that impact the lives of the constituents. Hopefully I said that right. We pledge to serve. But this woman has found us. Yeah, so pretty much like all the Democrats echoed this right here, basically saying this is a sad and somber moment for them to impeach the president, but they had to do it to protect the Constitution and all that, because they really care about the Constitution. That's why they did this. And anybody who says this is for political reasons is lying. Sure, I'm very sure that the Democrats cared about the Constitution in this case. I'm so sure that this was not partisan in any way. Yeah. Baloney. It was all partisan. And like when they were saying this is somber and sad moment, BS. It was all an act to make it seem like, they didn't want to do this. Bull crap. They've been wanting to do this since he was elected president. From the very beginning, there was several, like Representative Al Green, he wanted to impeach the president as soon as he got into office. They want to find something to impeach him, because this was all partisan right here. All because they're still mad that he won in 2016, so they've been finding any way to make that election illegitimate or whatever. And their claim is that if they don't impeach him now, is that he would then cheat in 2020, which, okay, makes no sense there. So they're already claiming 2020 is going to be illegitimate election if they don't impeach him now, which tells you that they don't think they have a good shot at winning the presidency in 2020, which they also don't. the polls and this whole thing has been brutal for them, very brutal. I'll get to get that to a little later. But it's been hilarious to watch the Democrats pretty much lying to the American people, saying they only do this to protect the Constitution. All baloney. And then you have, some on the right, Republicans, made very good cases, like, of course, cut out the Democrats for their, this is all partisan reasons. They only do this because they don't like the president and all that. And that's totally true. And of course, there were some the kind of dumb responses to this whole thing. Here was a comment from Representative Barry Loudermilk. I hope I said that right. Is from Georgia. Here's what he said. This is stupid right here. I'm sorry, but it is. When Jesus was falsely accused of treason, Pontius Pilate gave Jesus the opportunity to face his accusers. During that sham trial, Pontius Pilate afforded more rights to Jesus than the Democrats have afforded this president in this process. Okay. It is true that President Trump hasn't been treated fairly in this process, but to compare that to what Jesus went through in his crucifixion, that is way too far. Way too far. Like people saying that, President Trump is completely clean as a driven snow and innocent in this whole thing. Not exactly. I mean, what actually happened is that he did use the military aid to Ukraine as a leverage to investigate corruption. Like I said, that is bad. It's not legal, but it is bad. Because, it was all based on bad information from Giuliani. His last name. Mayor Giuliani. Let's go with that. For some reason, his name blanks on me. So, yeah, comparing the two makes no sense whatsoever. But, yeah, this whole thing's just been nuts. And, of course, there was many on the left who were celebrating, yes, we finally got him in office, we got him in office, only to realize a few minutes later that, oh, wait, he's still president. He has to go to the Senate. And like I said before, the chances of that even happening, of it going to Senate, very, very unlikely. Very unlikely. So we have Senator McConnell has responded to this, and he's rightly kind of ticked off by this whole thing, and he said that they're not probably not going to consider doing a trial or anything, and he has every right to do that. And he said, you're not going to be impartial about this whole thing because the Democrats are not being impartial. Again, he has every right to say that, and he's completely right. But when he said, he's not going to be impartial, this prompted all the Democrats to say, oh, how dare he say not being impartial? He should be recused from this trial. Anybody who's say they want to be, defend President Trump should be recused from this trial. Which means that what they want to say is that only Democrats should be able to vote on impeachment in the Senate. Which chances that happening is zero. And Senator McConnell is not going to let that happen whatsoever. But yeah, there's still some people saying that he should be recused from the impeachment trial, which makes no sense whatsoever. I will get to that. But here's a piece from the Newsweek about it. A Democratic senator has said that there is increasing talk that Mitch McConnell should recuse himself from President Donald Trump's likely impeachment trial. Senator Sherrod Brown of Ohio told MSNBC on Tuesday that the GOP Senator Majority Leader had no respect for the institution after McConnell told reporters he was not an impartial juror and viewed the anticipated trial of the president as a political process. Which is completely legally right and constitutionally right. The impeachment is a completely political process. Completely. So technically, you can impeach a president for any reason, but the founders did recommend needs to have some element of crime in it. But legally speaking, you don't have to have a crime per se. In other words, it is all political process, all political. So, and it continues. The Democrat senator also claimed that his own biases against Trump were immaterial and said that he would decide to vote based solely only on the evidence. Yeah, freaking right. Anybody who says that they're gonna vote based solely on the evidence at hand is lying right here. Like, completely lying. What's so irritating about this whole thing is that Democrats keep saying, they're being impartial with it. They're only being objective to this whole thing. And it's not true. And most of the Democrats saying that want him out of office since like day one. So that makes no sense whatsoever. So here's actually Senator McConnell's full quote, I think. Yeah. He said, "I think it's pretty sad to say that in a partisan exercise like this sort of sign up, people sort of sign up with their own side. I think we're going to get an almost entirely partisan impeachment. I would anticipate an almost entirely partisan outcome in the Senate as well, which is most likely to happen, even if it goes to a vote. And McConnell has every right to block a vote. Obviously, they don't have the stuff for it. So yeah, I mean, there's been all sorts of crazy responses to it. Democrats responding to it and all of that. Republicans, just making some very good claims or defenses and all that. Then we have President Trump, and he's actually made some really good defenses himself. Like last night at the rally, on Wednesday night, I believe, he had a rally about the impeachment stuff, and he said a lot of true things. Of course, he did have some little boo-boos and all that. He went after a dead representative and all that, which is very gross stuff, but that's the president for you. But here is the best thing right here. This is a letter that President Trump sent to Nancy Pelosi on Tuesday. It is golden, it's colorful, it's just hilarious in itself, and I'll have the link in the description below in the video. Alright, so here is what it says. Dear Madam Speaker, I write to express my strongest and most powerful protest against the partisan impeachment crusade being pursued by the Democrats in the House of Representatives. This impeachment represents an unprecedented and unconstitutional abuse of power by Democrat lawmakers unequaled in nearly 2.5 centuries of American legislative history. The articles of impeachment introduced by the House Judiciary Committee are not recognizable under any standard of constitutional theory, interpretation, or jurisprudence. They include no crimes, no misdemeanors, and no offenses whatsoever. You have cheapened the importance of the very ugly word impeachment. He is totally right. And what this sets up is a precedent to where, in the future, a lot more presidents could be impeached because of this right here. But by proceeding with your valid impeachment, you are violating your oath of office. You are breaking your allegiance to the Constitution. You are declaring open war on American democracy. You dare to invoke the Founding Fathers in pursuit of this election nullification scheme. Yet, your spiteful actions display unfettered contempt for America's founding, and your egregious conduct threatens to destroy that which our founders pledged their very lives to help to build. Even worse than offending the founders, you are offending Americans by, I lost my place. You offend Americans of faith by continually saying, "I pray for the president," when you know the statement is not true, unless it is meant in a negative sense. It is a terrible thing you are doing, but you will have to live with it, not I. Your first claim, abuse of power, is a completely disingenuous, meritless, and baseless invention of your imagination. You know that I had a totally innocent conversation with the president of Ukraine. I then had a second conversation that has been misquoted, mischaracterized, and fraudulently misrepresented. Fortunately, there was a transcript of the conversation taken, and you know from the transcript, which was immediately made available, that the paragraph in question was perfect. I said to President Pelosi, "I would like you to do us a favor, though, because our country has been through a lot, and Ukraine knows a lot about it. I said do us a favor, not me, in our country, not a campaign." And he's totally right. Like, Democrats will keep saying that he was put in the transcript saying, "Oh, he said do me a favor." No, he said do us a favor. The meaning do the country a favor and investigate all the kind of corruption and all that. And yeah. Now it's kind of funny that he says like it's a perfect phone call. It's not quite, but it's still. You're turning a policy disagreement between two branches of government into an impeachable offense. It is no more legitimate than the executive branch charging members of Congress with crimes for the lawful exercise of legislative power. You know full well that the Vice President of Biden used his office and $1 billion of U.S. aid money to coerce Ukraine into firing the prosecutor who was digging into the company, paying his millions of dollars. You know this because Biden bragged about it on video, which is true. Biden openly stated, "I said, I'm telling you, you are not getting the $1 billion. I looked at them and said, I'll leave it in 6 hours. If the prosecutor is not fired, you're not getting the money." Well, he got fired. Even Joe Biden admitted just days ago in an interview with NPR that it looked bad. Now you're trying to impeach me by falsely accusing me of doing what Joe Biden has admitted he actually did. And President Zelensky has repeatedly declared that I did nothing wrong and that there was no pressure whatsoever. And that's the key. The President Zelensky has over and over said that he didn't feel pressure by the phone call or anything. And I don't think the investigation even happened fully. So, yeah, again, the Democrats have no claim on the whole Ukraine thing whatsoever, which is where this whole thing started. The second claim, so-called obstruction of Congress, is preposterous and dangerous. Fact or true. House Democrats are trying to impeach the duly elected president of the United States bar for asserting constitutionally based privileges that have been asserted on a bipartisan basis by administrations of both parties throughout our nation's history. Under that standard, every American president would have been impeached many times over. As a liberal law professor, Jonathan Turley warned them when addressing the congressional Democrats, I can't emphasize this enough. If you impeach a president, if you make a high crime misdemeanor out of going to the courts, it is an abuse of power. It's your abuse of power. You're doing precisely what you're criticizing the president doing. Everyone you included knows what is really happening. Your chosen candidate lost the election in 2016 in electoral landslide, 306 to 227, and you and your party have never recovered from this defeat. Fact check, completely true. This is exactly what this whole thing is about. Exactly what it's about. They're ticked off that they lost in 2016, and that's why they're doing this whole thing. You have developed a full-fledged case of what many in the media call Trump derangement syndrome, and sadly, you will never get over it. You are willing and unable to accept the verdict issued at the ballot box during the great election in 2016. So you have spent 3 years straight attempting to overturn the will of the people, American people, nullify their votes. And your view of democracy, you view as democracy as your enemy, which is pretty true for the most part. Honestly, it's like they're even saying that 2020 is already going to be illegitimate. So, without even that election is like less than a year away, and they're already declaring it is going to be illegitimate. So, anybody who takes Democrats seriously and doing this whole thing, saying they're only doing it to protect the Constitution, they're lying. Because they've been doing this they've been investigating him for 2.5 years. They had tried to investigate him for influence to cheating. They investigated him for cheating in the 2017 election. They found nothing, no evidence of that. So, yeah, they're just, again, they're all ticked off that they lost 2016. That's why this is happening. You and your party are desperate to extract from America's extraordinary economy, a credible jobs boom, a record stock market, soaring confidence, and flourishing citizens. Your party simply cannot compete with our record, which is very, very true. And he goes on saying that the lowest employment rate for African Americans, Hispanic Americans, and Asian Americans, a rebuilt military, a completely reformed VA, and with choice and accountability with our great veterans, and more than 170 new federal judges and 2 Supreme Court justices, and a tax and regulation cuts and all that good stuff, which is all true. And this is actually President Trump's 2020 campaign right here. He's going to focus on, like, I have a great economy, I have a lot of great policy and all that, and just look at the Democrats. What have they done? What have they done? All they've been doing is investigating me because they're ticked off about 2016. And that message is going to work. It's totally going to work. So yeah, this letter is completely true. It's very colorful. And again, you can read the whole thing for yourselves. Yes, but it's completely and utterly true. So, yeah. And again, like, the polls for this whole thing has been very, very brutal for them. Because, just go back to last month. Last month, Joe Biden was in the lead in front of President Trump for months. But now, no longer. This poll particular right here is not, like, fully, I wouldn't say it's not accurate. It is accurate for the most part, but it's not considering everybody. But other polls are echoing this right here. So it's from, if I can find it. Well, here's actually one of the polls right here. This is in the case that, like, Hillary Clinton decided to run in 2016 again, or 2020, and this is the national poll about that. Donald Trump is 49% plus 6, and then Hillary Clinton is 43%. And Hillary Clinton has, like, stated that she might run in 2020. Good luck with that. Like, I used to say, if Hillary Clinton were to run, is that she will probably win because they want more Democrats will show up to vote for her. But now looking at the polling for it, I highly doubt that. But here is the new general election poll. It's from the Suffolk University and US Today poll, and it has, here's what it says: Trump is now ahead of Biden at 44-41. And Trump is ahead of Sanders 44-39. Trump is ahead of Warren 45-37. Trump is ahead of Bloomberg 43-34. And Trump is ahead of Buttigieg 43-33. that is insane. Because again, just last week, or not last month, Biden was ahead of Trump by a good margin, and that margin just dropped over this last one because of the impeachment stuff. The American people are not up for an impeachment inquiry or anything. They're not up for it whatsoever. So, and I'll be very surprised that this doesn't backfire on them. Alright, and also, just the media's reaction to this whole thing has just been hilarious, very hilarious. This whole thing. I mean, they've been echoing what the Democrats are saying, that they're all sad and somber through this thing. They're all objected to this whole impeachment thing. Again, BS. B completely S. I mean, there was a photo that went around on Twitter, or that basically shows the people, reporters at the Washington Post celebrating impeachment and calling it Impeachmas. And they rightly got called out for it. But here's the most hilarious thing. The Washington Post then released a statement saying, the right Republicans were mischaracterizing this photo. I'm sure of it. I'm very sure of it. So here's a post from the CNN. Washington Post editor Marty Barron says critics are distorting Mary Impeachment's photo. Are they now? Are they really distorting it, or are you just saying that to cover your butt? The Washington Post says a photo of its report is unwinding after a long day of impeachment proceedings is being misconstrued by Trump White House officials and allies. Donald Trump Jr., who regularly attacks the press, claimed that the photo showed reporter Rachel Bay celebrating yesterday's farce. And they were. I mean, look at that freaking photo. It's clear, and they called it Mary Impeachment. So the idea that they were not celebrating at all is completely BS. I mean, there was a video of Representative Rashida Tlaib that she was going into the impeachment vote smiling and laughing and all that. So, I mean, that pretty much blows the Democrats' case in half, or in pieces right there. Press Secretary Stephanie Grisham tweeted out the photo 3 times, leading critics to suggest that the White House is assailing the press to distract from the president's impeachment. I'm sure they're trying to do that because I'm sure President Trump is all heartbroken that he got impeached, that he wants to distract it from them. But again, the polls don't support that. Actually, most Americans are not up for this. That's why the polls against Democrats are dropping pretty badly. So, I mean, yeah. Again, where this would lead eventually is that, I mean, it would probably go to trial in the Senate, but he's not going to be convicted in the Senate. There's no way possible that's going to happen. And leave Democrats disappointed, and they have vowed that they're going to continue trying to impeach him, investigate him, and all that. Good luck, gang. If you want to keep doing that, go right ahead. And I'm sure that's going to be totally fine with American people. So, yeah. I mean, my prediction right now is that Trump is going to win, probably by a landslide, depending on who the nominee is. Even if it's Biden, is probably going to win. It's probably going to be a little more competitive, but I think Trump's still going to win it, especially after this. But if it's someone like Warren, she's going to get slaughtered. Democrats in the House and the Senate are going to be slaughtered. So, yeah. I mean, again, things going to change in 11 months or so. Until then, but especially if Democrats keep dragging this on and on for 11 months, that's not going to look good for them. Not at all. Alrighty, so enough with impeachment stuff, because quite frankly, I mean, it's funny enough, you would think that the impeachment of the president, the third president in U.S. history to be impeached, you would think that would be like the talk of the town. It honestly isn't. Not at all. Because nobody cares, because they know that Democrats had no reason to impeach him. So, yeah. And that's why I just don't really care about it anymore. And so, like, once this goes past, like, nobody's going to care about it unless Democrats keep dragging it, which is likely. Alright, so let's get into some scripture. So, last week I said, we're going to be continuing in the book of John, and this is going to be a section over Jesus, the bread of life, and it's going to start from verse 22 to 59, I believe. So it's going to be a long section. I may or may not do the whole thing. Let's see what time does for us. But yeah, you can again follow along with me, and I'll be a New Living Translation. The next day, the crowd that had stayed on the far shore saw that the disciples had taken the only boat, and they realized Jesus had not gone with them. Several boats from Tiberias landed near the place where the Lord had blessed the bread, and the people had eaten. So when the crowd saw that neither Jesus nor his disciples were there, they got into the boats and went across to Capernaum to look for him. They found him on the other side of the lake and asked Rabbi, "When did you get here?" Jesus replied, I tell you the truth. You want to be with me because I fed you, not because you understood the miraculous signs. But don't be so concerned about perishable things like food. Spend your energy on seeking the eternal life that the Son of Man can give you. For God the Father has given me the seal of his approval. Which is basically what he's saying there. It's like, again, like, don't focus on like the little things, especially like things of this earth, like money or whatever. Like, focus on him and all that, because he's eternal. Everything on here on earth is temporary. Money, like says, and all that, it's all temporary. Jesus is eternal. And yes, that is kind of a quote from Willie Robson in God's Not Dead movie. But anyways, it continues right here. They replied, "We want to perform God's works. 2, what should we do?" Jesus told them, "This is the only work God wants from you. Believe in the one he has sent." They answered, "Show us a miraculous sign if you want us to believe in you. What can he do? After all, our ancestors ate manna while they journeyed through the wilderness. The scriptures say Moses gave them the bread from heaven to eat." Jesus said, "I'll tell you the truth. Moses didn't give you bread from heaven. My Father did. And now he offers you the true bread from heaven. The true bread of God is the one who comes down from heaven and gives you life to the world. Sir, give us that bread." They said, "Give us that bread every day." Jesus replied, "I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never be hungry again. Whoever believes in me will never be thirsty. But you haven't believed in me, even though you have seen me. However, those the Father has given me will come to me, and I will never reject them. For I have come down from heaven to do the will of God who has sent me, not to do my own will. And this is the will of God, that I should not lose even one of all those he has given me, but I should raise them up at the last day. For it is my Father's will that all who see his Son and believe in him should have eternal life, and I will raise them up at the last day." So yeah, the whole, Jesus is the, bread of life and all that. That's, completely true and just very, very cool right here. Like, very awesome is because when we mean by the bread of life is basically like the very essence in how you live, like what you live for. And basically, if you live for things on this earth, like get the bread from this earth, that's only going to be temporary. You're going to keep getting hungry. You're going to be looking for other things. Like, say, for example, like, say if you have, you've been deeply like hurt in your life or whatever, and you now go to alcohol to kind of patch those wounds, but it doesn't work. So you go to another thing, like go to marijuana. That doesn't work, so you go to other drugs and just keep going looking for something to fill in that hole in your heart. But all that really does is all you're doing is putting a little patch over your wounds. But this is very fragile, like threading and all that, and that's gonna keep ripping apart. But then Jesus gives you an entire new heart and all that. So there's no need to keep stitching up your heart. Jesus will take the old one and give you a new, healed one. So yeah, that's pretty spectacular. It's just really awesome. That's why I want to see people come to Christ right here. It's because of this. Because there's so much freedom in it. So much, all your worries. I mean, of course, you're going to have, all sorts of, problems and worries to come along. But with Jesus, that's going to be so minimal. Because instead of, telling, God how big your problems are, tell your problems how big tell God how, tell your problems how big your God is. So, yeah. So that's all I'm probably going to stop there for now. I'm going to continue the rest with it next time I'm back, which will probably be January 3rd or the 4th, probably. But it's definitely going to be in the new year. Alright, so that's about it. Let's get into some of the good stuff and bad stuff of the week. So, some good stuff, when was it? On Thursday night, went to go see the new Star Wars movie, the Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. And, okay. Excuse me. So, was it an awful movie? Did I hate it? No. It wasn't awful. It didn't hit the mark completely for me. It was okay at best. Meh at worst. Excuse me, sorry. But I will say this, it was better than Last Jedi. But it missed the mark. It was just too fast paced. The whole thing, the plot, it was hard to follow the plot. I mean, the plot, if I watch it again, I'll probably follow it a little better. But it was just so fast paced because it kept going from scene, then a couple minutes later to another scene. It's just so many scene transitions. It was just hard to follow. So, but it was definitely better than Last Jedi. And here's where I'm going my rant about Star Wars. So, with the new trilogy. So, a lot of people hate the new trilogy entirely. I don't hate the entire new trilogy. I actually, with The Force Awakens, I love The Force Awakens. I thought J.J. Abrams did a good job setting up something for the future, for the new trilogy and all that. And yeah, I like all the new characters and the nostalgia in it. I really loved it. And then Last Jedi came around, it's just yeah, I did not like Last Jedi at all. It's actually my least favorite Star Wars movie ever made. And then with the Rise of Skywalker, the problem with Last Jedi is that Rian Johnson, the director of Last Jedi, was writing the Last Jedi while the Force Awakens was still being filmed and all that. So, he was making up his own story, pretty much. And then just nothing. I mean, there was something that connected the Last Jedi connected to Force Awakens, but there was a lot that isn't. And another thing that bothered me about Last Jedi is that with Luke, they completely destroyed his character. And just so many things I just did not like about Last Jedi. And with the Rise of Skywalker, I think J.J. Abrams was trying to fix everything that Last Jedi kind of ruined for this new trilogy. And he tried to fix it, but I don't think it panned out well, and just made the whole movie a mess. I'm sorry. Oh, that was kind of tickly. But yeah, it's my impression of this new trilogy is that it's not entirely. I don't hate it, but it's just not up there in my favorites whatsoever right now. And I actually like the prequel trilogy. I know it's like popular to hate on the prequels and all that, but I actually do like the prequels. Like even episode 1. Actually, episode 2 is my least favorite of the prequels. Episode 1 I really like. Unpopular opinion, but I really like episode 1. But episode 2 I do like too, but there was a lot of problems I had with it, especially the whole romance between Anakin and Padme and all that. So, yeah. That's my rant on Star Wars right now. So I can keep going, but I'm not going to. Alright, let's get into some bad stuff of the week. So this one is an insane story right here. So to give you kind of background to where this whole started. So there was someone named Maya Forstetter, who is a tax expert in UK, and she was fired from her job for criticizing a law that UK passed that allows people to change their legal gender in their documents and all that. And she criticized this, rightfully so, and it said that say if someone gets arrested and they identify as a woman, but they're actually a biological male, they'll be sent to a women's prison. Which the implications that come from that, the ramifications that will come for that is just too risky. It makes no sense. And the idea, for someone, it doesn't make sense. Again, this tells you the left view on this whole thing. They say that sex is binary, that people who identify as men who identify as a woman is actually a biological woman. Not true. They're biological men who just believe that they're women. Men are men and women are women. Just gonna put it right there. So how this really got amped up on Twitter now is that J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter series, which is one of my favorite childhood books, and still I love. Never read the books in a while, but I still love the movies today. But J.K. Rowling, she's not a person on the right whatsoever. She's definitely on the far left. She has stand up many times. Remember a few years back, she came out saying Dumbledore was gay from the whole time or whatever. Silly stuff. But here's what she tweeted out, and this orchestrated an entire backlash and cancellation of J.K. Rowling. It's very, very ridiculous. So here's what it says: "Just however you please. Call yourself whatever you like. Sleep within the consenting adult who will have you. Live your best life in peace and security. But force women out of jobs for stating that sex is real. Hashtag I stand with Maya. Hashtag this is not a drill." And this got her canceled on Twitter. But everybody was outraged. How dare she do this? And all that. It was all stupid. And the headlines that came after it was just very dumb. I'm still gonna find the Vox headline. Hold on. So yeah, all the lines where there's J.K. Rowling's transphobia is a product of British culture. They're calling her transphobic and all that. And then they're accusing her of destroying the legacy of Harry Potter and all that. I'm sure people are going to now stop watching the Harry Potter movies and start reading the books because J.K. Rowling tweeted out this very simple tweet right here. Seriously, highly doubt that. Because not everybody who likes Harry Potter is a left winger. There's a lot of conservatives that do like Harry Potter as well. So that's all stupid. And this is the problem with cancel culture right here. Even people on the left who say something even remotely based in reality, they got canceled for being offensive. It's all stupid and just very problem with our culture today, and it's gonna get worse. So eventually, UK is gonna have a law to where like that's gonna be considered hate speech, and she's gonna be arrested for that, and that's gonna, if we're not careful, that's gonna come to America too. Alright, so I think that's all I have for today. Before I go though, I do want to make this quick pitch. With Christmas coming around and all that good stuff, there's a lot of people who will not be celebrating with their, with a parent, or because their parent, their dad or mom, is currently overseas or like serving in the military and all that. So, what I do want to kind of recommend like looking into, because there's been a lot of like wounded like veterans who are just in bad shape and just won't be able to can't get the help necessary to help them heal. That's why I recommend going and checking out the Winter Warrior Project. You can it's a very good site. They do a lot of good stuff for veterans, and I recommend doing a monthly donation or whatever you want towards it. It helps them out, and I recommend doing that. Alrighty, so again, that's all I have for today. So again, you can find me on SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Play, and Stitcher. I'll keep trying for iTunes, but the highly likely that will happen. It's very unlikely I can get on iTunes because they're just being absolute jerks right now. Seriously, I figure out one problem, and then there's another problem that arises. So, I'll eventually figure it out. I'll eventually probably get on iTunes, but I think the problem is that I don't have an Apple product. That's probably why it's being very difficult. But, we'll see. Hopefully it pans out. But otherwise, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next year, the new year, in January. So I hope everyone has a wonderful Christmas and Happy New Year. Enjoy your time off if you do have time off this week, and just spend time with your families and all that good stuff. And yeah, that's all I have. See y'all then. My name is Sean Clinton, and this is the Kind of Freedom Show.